This is another episode of You Can't Handle the Truth, and we are in part 2 of our discussions with our resident law student intern, Kelsie Martin. We had a very good episode the first time around. I hope you saw it. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. But we want to keep going because we think that it's very interesting in terms of what's going on these days with the practice of law, people that are trying to get into the practice of law. So I know we were talking off the record a little bit about some things. What do you want to talk about? I know we had a few topics that we wanted to go over with Kelsie.
Yeah, well, one thing is, what we mentioned in the first episode was how diverse in terms of when we went to law school, when we graduated from law school, right. Kind of have this nice little 11 to 14-year gap between all of us.
Right.
And then, so that's something we can get into. But Kelsie, you've been interning for me for the last 3 summers.
Yeah.
And with Mike for 2. And it's all been personal injury work because that's all I do. But you don't want to go into personal injury law, or you're not interested in litigation. Is that have you ruled that out?
I just think it's not that I don't like what you do. It's just that I can see myself being a part of the legal field in such a different way. And I think like mock negotiations at my law school, which is provided through our Law and Business Society, which is great, has really like opened up the world of transactional work. And so when you think of an attorney, you think of somebody standing up in a courtroom, you think analyze Keating, how to get away with murder. That's not all attorneys. That you've got transactional attorneys, you got litigation attorneys. It's 2 completely different things, but all still part of the same field. I just feel like my skills are going to align me more there, and I have a lot of respect for what you guys do. I just don't see myself standing up in a courtroom. I see myself negotiating big deals across tables.
And you said it was a mock negotiation?
Yeah, I'm the supervision of an attorney in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm. Right. Is there anything, I know you don't want to go in this field necessarily, but your mind might change.
Oh, but yeah.
But is there anything you really like about what we do that you've experienced the last 3 summers?
Yeah, I like that you in particular, because I also did a split summer with the state attorney's office. You guys get to work with your clients really closely, I like client interaction. That's what I tell a lot of people. Right. And so being able to work one-on-one with people is really nice, which is something I think I can find in transactional work. At the state attorney's office, the pace of everything is insane. I can't say that I really enjoyed it myself, but I love to watch other people do it.
Yeah.
I think it's incredibly impressive, and I don't know if I could ever do it.
It comes closer to like the TV reality.
Yes, very much so. And it's exciting and it's fun to watch, but I just don't know if I'd have fun doing it.
Yeah. It might be a lot.
Yeah, it takes a lot out of a lot of people. Everybody's got a different niche, niche, whatever we want to say.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that, and that's where we're headed in the legal field in general. I mean, look at family law, the divorce lawyers. I mean, it's getting to a point where if you're doing family law, that's what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You're only doing that. And I, myself, as a practitioner for 22 years, I can't imagine doing family law. It's people with their worst behavior. Yeah. It's something I never wanted to be a part of, but there's there's people out there that want to do that. I can't imagine why, but they do. They want to do it. So it's good that, and do you agree, and you don't have to agree, but do you agree that when you're in a profession, this is a profession, that the part of it is that you have to like kind of what you're doing, sort of. A lot. There's the money motivation side, but then there's also like the side where you can, let's say someone offered you a job and something you didn't want to do. Let's call it tax law, and they said you're going to make X amount of dollars doing this your first year, or you can get this job as a transactional lawyer in a big law place, but you may be making a little bit less with what they offer, but you're going to take this job, the second job, because maybe that's what you wanted to do. Is that accurate? Or is that?
I definitely think you should be doing what you love.
Yeah.
I trying to think of how to say it right.
I just probably could say it right.
I think people get confused. They're like, oh, well, law school's hard. Nobody really likes their jobs. I don't think that's true. I don't really love the institution of law school, but I love what I learned in law school. I had such a great experience in my constitutional law class. I really love what I'm learning while I'm there, but the institution of, getting cold called every day and
we talked about
being graded against your peers is never exactly fun.
Well, I went to the law school that I went to, Florida Coastal School of Law, that is no longer a law school because they lost their accreditation. But nevertheless, I'm barred, so it's not a problem. But the people that I went to law school with were people who actually didn't want to practice law.
Yeah.
But they wanted to get their JDs.
There's lots of avenues.
There's a lot of people who thought that it was really beneficial degree to have because it's a, you know, a doctorate, essentially. No one really ever calls it that, but it's a doctorate.
It is. Yeah.
And you learn how to read and interpret law. And that's really important to know, like, in life, because you ultimately learn how to not let people take advantage of you. So it's a really good skill set. It's a really good secondary degree to have. And so a lot of the people that I went to law school with, that I graduated with, that I still connect with, they don't practice law.
Right.
They're doing something alternatively as JDs.
It's a degree that gives you an opportunity to do things that maybe are unequaled elsewhere in other the fields, but you got to make out of what you make out of. But you also got to be, really, you should be. You don't have to be anything, but you should be happy with it. So I was just wondering how you felt about that, because you are in the middle of all this, and like sometimes, like I remember when I I was in the pre-med classes, which is insane for me to even think that I was doing this.
Yeah.
And I like chemistry and I like biology and all this stuff, and when I got into law school, I pulled out those loans because I didn't have any loans at undergrad. And when I started pulling loans, I'm like, I just sold out. I have agreed to pay money and do this stuff, and now I'm like I'm in this thing. I'm in it. And I know there's all kinds of other things, people now, I guess you don't have to pay your student loans back and stuff like that. But that being said, you're in it now. And
only if your school closes.
Right. But I wasn't talking about...
Only if it loses accreditation. Do you ever have it happen you not to pay your loan? Class action.
I was talking about something else.
Can't speak about it.
Right. But no, but seriously, I mean, that's what I remember as a 1-year law student. I was thinking, I just sold out. This is like, this is what I'm going to do now. Now I'm kind of, so do you ever feel that way?
I mean, it's definitely a full-time job.
Yeah, it's
and now that I'm taking on leadership positions, and now I'm on a journal, and now I'm taking 4 classes, it's...
I think the way you say it, you have to be a lawyer when you go to law school.
Yeah.
Incur that debt. You feel like you have to be the...
Well,
why? I don't think that was...
You didn't feel that way?
I don't feel that way at all. My husband says that to me all the time. He's like, you're a lawyer, like, commit to it. And I'm like, hey, but I want to be a TikTok star. So.
I'm just kidding. So you have the loans to be the TikTok star. Of course, you could not have anticipated that, though, when you went into law school, that you wanted to be a TikTok star.
There was not TikTok.
Not until I told her how to use TikTok.
Not till, Kelsie Martin, set it up for me. Literally downloaded it for me, set it up for me, did the first couple of videos for me, and
the rest is history.
The rest is history.
For someone that is, I'm going to change the subject for once.
Yeah.
Look at this. For someone that is watching this and says, hey, I want to go to law school, but like there's too many lawyers, or they're creating barriers for themselves. How does one get into law school in 2023 and differentiate themselves and make themselves useful, or something, do something that they want to do? Let's put it that way. Success. Like, how do you do it?
You answer, but really first, do what she did.
What's that?
Interned for 3 years. She interned while she was in undergrad. No, but she saw her resume looks amazing.
Oh yeah.
She had great grades. Was in leadership in undergrad. Was ultimately like in some additional leadership roles as well.
Yeah.
Right. You interned for 3 years, or 2 years while in undergrad, and then this year as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have an impeccable resume. You got into a really great law school, and so do that, and you'll stand out to get into law school. Now, there you go.
Yeah, and you try to also narrow down a little bit about what you are more interested in than
right.
I just think GPA is huge. I mean, as much as you can, and if that's something that's already passed for you, like continue to work to get your LSAT score up. People say, oh, they only have, like when you do law school applications, it's GPA and LSAT, and that's mostly true.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to get you through the door. It's going to at least get you looked at, and then from there, it's okay. Were you involved at all, or did you just do school while you were in undergrad? So I held like 2 or 3 different leadership positions. I had a job at the same time. Like C said, I have been involved in the legal sphere since my sophomore year of college at different firms, and so it's just keeping yourself involved, keeping your scores up, keeping your GPA up. Your GPA is really, I think, indicative of how hard you work. And if that's still a struggle, because like you said, you were taking these hard medical classes where the GPA is just naturally going to be a little bit lower, they do take that into account. They know that. And then you can also take the LSAT and offset your GPA, and that works fine.
I need to ask about that too, because I did really, the LSAT was something I did real well, but I'm also good at that stuff.
Yes.
But I heard through the grapevine, and I don't know who told me this, but several people I think have told me that are they going to phase out the LSAT? Have you heard about this?
I have
Is that true?
about that.
About that too. It's been
I don't see it going away.
I think it.
well, they're
I
going to
think
phase out the bar exam in some. They have in some state.
I don't want to talk about that. It goes away the year after I have to take it.
I don't think they should phase out the bar exam. I mean, how else are we going to
This
measure?
is a sore subject. Well, thank you.
How are we going to? I mean, you know, we're going to have a bunch of Micahs and Vinny. Have you ever watched Micahs and Vinny? I watch it before every trial.
He turned out to be a great lawyer.
And he did, but he also failed it 6 times.
We're gonna have a bunch of Mike Rosses.
Right. Well, I mean, it's like, don't you think they should have something to measure, you guys? Like, you know,
I don't see it going away.
how would it go? How would you measure? How do you get your ability to practice, your license to practice law? How would you get your license if there's no?
If it was the bar,
If they get rid of the bar exam,
You have to do apprenticeships. So like,
so it'd be more experience based.
yeah. So in Maine, so it's in places that need attorneys. So like Maine has a shortage, and so states like Maine,
Really?
There's a couple other Midwestern states that no one wants to live in. And ultimately, like what's happening is, so no one wants to live there. I mean,
Like where?
that's
Yeah.
like Wyoming.
they need lawyers.
They need lawyers.
They need lawyers.
Yeah, so they need lawyers. And so in order to do that, they want to incentivize people by taking away all these barriers and bars.
Come practice in
And bars, yeah, pun intended.
Interesting. That's very interesting. But you know what? Honestly, I think doctors have a residency.
Yeah.
Medical doctors have a residency. I think that I've always thought lawyers should have some type of residency because like they don't teach you. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You're not learning practical skills. Maybe you are nowadays. I took electives. Sometimes I could take a trial class and there I would learn. But if I'm taking my con law and contracts, I'm learning theory. But am I learning how to practice?
So
Maybe not.
So practice is a lot of learning on the job, from what I understand from my 2 Allen Frail friends that have made it into big law and
Okay.
what they do now. They do say that your first year of law school tends to be more litigation focused. You don't really get into transactional work at all in this school unless you get experience and or you take classes on it. So this semester I'll actually be able to pick my classes, but the entire first year of law school is basically mapped out for you.
Yeah.
Which is helpful. I mean, you don't have to pick and choose, and you can't be wrong because you're usually in a section with the same like 50 to 90 people, and they take all your classes with you, and WashU does a really good job of connecting people. And so I have made some of my best friends in my section. Some of my best friends are out of that section. It just depends. It's an interesting setup.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was like law school didn't teach me how to practice law. I had to absolutely learn that once I...
There was a
Got it.
couple of classes that I took that were good. You know what? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
The ones
You always did.
when the teachers were practitioners,
Yeah.
when the teachers practiced law, those are the ones I learned practical.
Yeah.
So when they were, no offense to those
The
theory
academics,
people, but
yeah.
at the end of the day, I learned my Florida civil. I took a class of civil procedure, and it was a practicing and trial. But it was the coolest thing. It was practicing law.
Yeah.
Like it's just like this is the first time I've had this, and I got an A in that class. I learned because I was motivated.
Right.
Like he was like, this is how you practice. So you're gonna need these rules. And yes, guess what? I still use those rules.
Yeah, there's stuff we always remember from law school that we can carry into practice,
The
but
good and the bad.
doesn't necessarily teach us how to practice. But
Yeah.
but Kelsie, we're so glad to have you. I don't think we're going to get you back next semester because you're going to get this amazing internship, some big law firm. Me too. In Chicago is where you want to be, guys. Fingers crossed. Yes. So
Thank you for having me.
yes, and we wish that for you. We wish you the best. Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, guys. Like, subscribe, and comment. And we'll see you next time.